Absolute pandemonium is ensuing as people are trying to decide how to edit their videos for the news channel. As you can see, we are having this problem here, and we will be discussing how to go forth and edit this said video that you are watching right now. Thank you for tuning into Who Knew News. I'm Claudia McVideoface, and we will continue on with our broadcast now. What you would expect to see is interviews, and more importantly, our interns interviewing, because our interns here at Who Knew News are the best that we could find. Whether it's in the air, on the water, on the land, or in your hand, we're here with you, for you, helping you with history and the future, as you deal with history in your present, because that's just how history works. With the best of equipment, we're here for you, to show you how to use said equipment. Not that you really have to in this situation, but we'll work on that. Bringing the best of editing tips to you from Shotcut to possibly Premiere if you're up for that challenge. I'm Claudia McVideoface, and this is the History Channel with Who Knew News. Hello and welcome to the History Reacting to the Past Broadcaster Workshop. Now, I met with some people this semester, the semester that I'm working as a preceptor. I met with them for a workshop in person, but this is going to elaborate on what we talked about. It's going to show how to make a news segment with some very short clips that I got. It's what you just saw as this intro, as a matter of fact. You're going to actually see how we made what we just saw. And so that'll be very cool. And I hope that you guys can use this for reference if you would like, just to see the little technicalities of the editing process. Now, if you're new here, if this is a different semester or anything like that, welcome as well. Hopefully this will help if you don't know anything about video stuff or if you need a refresher. It's a very good tool to have. Now, I'll be working with Shotcut, which I have the download page here. It should look like this. You'll have this little icon. There's going to be a lot of different software that you can use. I know on Macs they have iMovie, and Adobe Premiere is it's the software that people will use in the video industry, which is super cool. You can totally tackle that on. I know here at this school we have it for free on the library computers. However, it is a lot more complex, and if you are just starting out and if you're just going to be using this video stuff for history class, then I advise using this Shotcut. What I like about it is it's free. You can download it onto your own computer. Premiere, however, has a subscription. There might be discounts for students, but it's nice to be able to work on this from your home or wherever you're going to go to. And also, I'm a little bit more familiar with this because this is the program that I've been using for a while. However, as I said before, this should translate over to Adobe Premiere. As you can see, whenever you open up Shotcut, it'll look like this. It's very similar to how Premiere works, so that should be able to put you on a starting foot if you'd like. And there's tons and tons of tutorials and extra information if you are interested in using another software, because I know people have their different workflows, and that's totally cool. That's the biggest part about video editing, is figuring out what works best for you. So this is how I work through things, and hopefully it'll set everybody on the right foot to go forward from here. All right, so as we can see, this is our little workstation. It's what we're going to be starting with in Shotcut. We have our playlist pulled up. It'll depend on whatever you were using last. Something that you need to be careful with. I don't know if it's because I have an older downloaded version of Shotcut, but it does shut down every so often. I know with lots of video editing softwares that happens a lot, just because of the sheer amount of information and files you're putting into it and all the work it's handling. It'll shut down a couple times. So make sure to save right when you start and then throughout the process. I know Shotcut has a really cool autosave feature, but I would not rely solely on that, because you're going to make so many tiny little changes of where you want things, and then if the autosave function gets even slightly behind, or if it doesn't work, then that'll be unfortunate. That's another thing with video editing. You're almost guaranteed to have some sort of mishap, or something's not going to work, or something ends up not being perfectly right, or you lose all your files or something like that. That's why we got to take these precautions at the beginning, but knowing that that will probably happen at some point in your video editing process, it helps you whenever it does happen so that you can be prepared. We have our station here. I'm going to drop in some files. You'll probably recognize them from what you just saw. We'll be working with these ones primarily. Right here we have the file of me talking. I like to call this the desk shot. As you can see, it starts a little bit earlier than what you probably saw in the final product. So we're going to drag that over, and it should just go in there, and it's in our playlist. So right now I'm in the playlist tab. This is going to be like our menu of different videos that we're going to select from. Down here we have our timeline. That's going to be, once we put these clips, each of these is going to be a clip, as you can see here. Once we put these clips or little videos that we took in order, that's how our final product, whatever we export, that's what it's going to look like. So right here, it's our little workstation menu. So this is a video we're going to use. Let's go back here. We're just going to drag the rest of these with my face in there. Now you got to be careful when dragging a lot of clips. Thankfully it worked well here. But if you try and import a lot of clips at once, sometimes that'll make it shut down. I'd like to do it in small batches. But we're going to save this just to be careful. As we can see, these are the two files that I was working on with the people in the workshop whenever we were in person, and that's what it'll look like. So we're gonna go with history. What's something cool? Let's just do who. I can't type. Okay, who knew news. Amazing, and it'll save as this type of file right here. You're not going to be able to open it up other than in your software program. It might look different depending on the software you're working on, but it should be like that, and that'll just be your editing file. All right, so we're probably going to use some of these other clips, and these are just random clips that I've used in the past, and they're called B-roll, and these are going to be the extra shots. For example, if you're in the class filming, which you're going to be doing a lot of, the B-roll is going to be those extra clips of you just doing a sweep across the room. Or if you're looking out, if you have pictures from Rwanda, for example, that'll be B-roll. If you have those video clips, it'll just be things without the talking. If we go back to the news clip, now on Canvas, Dr. M posted a video from ABC and Newscast, and this is what we referenced in the workshop, and I think it's a super useful resource because it's from 1994 or 1993, I think 94, 92 actually, and it's on the Bosnian crisis. So I think it has excellent examples. Here we have a desk shot. If you go forward, you see her talking. We have these shots right here. These are going to be your B-roll shots. And if you go into it, I don't know if you can hear that audio. I don't think you can because I have my headphones plugged in, but it'll have the talking over it. And so, but the videos themselves, that's going to be B-roll. And right here, for me, I have the desk shot. Isn't that nice? I'm just reaching over there. Very, very good face. So this is what you're primarily going to be worried about filming whenever you're outside of the class and you're on your own. You'll probably want to set up your little news station, as we have here at the beginning. The only time that she shows up at the desk is at the beginning, which is very nice. That's probably the only time you have to film yourself talking to the camera like that. As you can see, even at the end, they sign off with just a voiceover. So that's really cool. And that's what I tried to have here too. Now you're probably going to want to doll up your background a little bit better than this. This kind of looks a little prison-y, and we can go for that, but you can probably get creative with that. You can use any wall though. It'll depend on how you want to dress. You can dress up professional. In fact, I advise that you do that. You can dress up how she's dressed up, which I super love. Props for anybody who dresses like they're a newscaster from the 90s. Blue eyeshadow is a plus. But something that I mentioned before is you want to avoid hats. As you can see here in this clip, I have my backwards hat on as an intern. Very nice. The reason why I have it on backwards is if you have hats on forward with the brim, it's going to cast shadows over your eyes and it'll appear a little bit more harsher whenever you're on camera and you have those videos, and that's not what you want. So avoid hats. That shouldn't be too big of a problem, but if you're interviewing somebody and they're wearing a hat, probably ask them to either take it off or spin it backwards and look real cool like that. If they don't want to, it's not a big deal. It's just your eyes are what you want to be able to see. As you can see here, we have a great expression of that. Okay, so this is our main clip for the beginning, what we're going to be working with. I'm going to also drag in an intro that I found. This is just a free one, which is very nice. It has blank text. Right now it's really loud for me. Okay, hold on. And it's really cool because I'll be able to just overlay text on top of that, and I can put whatever my news station is. What I did is I just went online, I Google searched free intros, free news intro. You can do that, downloadable video. And for example, I found this YouTube video and they had links below to a website that had downloadable intros, which is the one that I just showed you. So you can do that. You can also screen record an intro and just use the video part of that, mute it, and use different audio because the audio from a screen recording is going to be pretty scuffed up. But I liked how I was able to find this. I'll be able to mute it because there is music over it, and then I'll be able to use it as my intro. So we're going to drag this over. I'm going to put this on top. Let's get started. So I'm going to start with a video track. As we can see here, we have our timeline, and once you drag something down here, it'll start a track. Perfect. And this is the clip. This is the intro clip. As you can see here, these little spikes are the audio waves, and that's going to show you where the audio is spiking. To move this over a little bit, I always like to have a little bit of time before of just darkness before you put any video to start. That's just some room for editing. And it looks a little bit smoother when you start a video and it doesn't jump right into the video. But now, if you want, this is a video track. If you want solely an audio track, because you're going to be stacking these on top for the vertical, then you go here, add audio track. Very nice. Now, if we go into my files, I actually have music that I found. And you can find Newscaster music in all sorts of places for free. I found right here, royalty-free newscast openings. This is like the first one that popped up, and I had so many that were copyright-free, which is very nice. I mean, since it's for class, if it's just going to be for class, then you should be able to get away with things that could be copyrighted. But it's always nice whenever you can find good royalty-free things, just to be on the safe side. So I have a very short newscast opening. I'm going to take it off so you can try and hear this. Okay, so that's super quick. Always test out the audio that you find it for, especially if you've downloaded it for free on the internet, because sometimes there's weird recording on it. Sometimes it's not good audio, and we don't want that. And then here we have a very long one, which is probably what I'm going to use, because what I'm developing, from what you saw, is more of an intro than an entire newscast. And this goes on for 2 minutes. Always, hold on, let me plug this back in. I say that you should always look at the time if you're going to use music for anything, just so you know what you're working with. And for you guys, you'll probably not have music all the way through your broadcast. You probably can, but as we saw in this one right here, I don't think there was any music at all. Yeah, no, there wasn't any music at all, so music isn't a requirement. But if you want it for that intro, then go for it. I'm always a fan of it. So we're going to drag in this longer version. Nope, we're not going to play it again. And it will drag in as an audio file, which is very nice. And it's up here. Since it doesn't have a visual, it's just this white screen. But you just have the audio from that, and that's very cool. So we're going to drag this down to the audio track. And as you can see, I have this magnet feature on, and whenever I dragged it down, it clicked to the beginning of this. So it'll match up to a lot of things. You got to be careful with that sometimes, because it'll match up to things you don't want it to. But for now, it worked out in our favor. Now, this clip, this intro clip, it has audio already, but I don't want the audio from that. But I don't want to mute this entire track, because I'm probably going to add on some more videos right after it so that you can see them in sequential order. So if you wanted to mute the entire track, let's just say this was all B-roll, you wanted to talk over it, then you can just click this. This will mute the entire track. And if you play this, it'll just be the audio that's going on right here. But we don't want that. We just want to mute this clip alone, this video. So what we're going to do, make sure you're clicked onto it You can see what track you're on. I'm in the dark mode version of Shotcut, so it'll be the green one. If I click onto the audio track, it'll turn this one green. Just make sure you're in the right place. So we're clicked onto this. And if you're going to add anything onto a video, you're going to go to filters and then you add right here. So right here you have your favorites. You can star them. You can put a little asterisk. And these are any filters that you use a bunch. Here you have filters to add on to visual things. So you have text, you have brightness, you have color, all sorts of stuff. That's all going to be here. There's even some fun things that you can play around with old film. You can put grain, projector, scratches, stuff like that. But that's something to mess with later. Here we have the audio menu where you can get all fancy with that. Hopefully you won't have to worry about anything other than muting and the volume. But for this clip, I'm just going to go to the gain/volume. This is what you're going to do for basically any volume things. You want to match up your volume across your videos. This is where you go. As we can see, it's at 0 right now, which is just how the clip came whenever we imported it. And I want it to be at, I guess, -50. And that should be mute. So if I unplug this, you should only be hearing the audio on the bottom and not two songs on top of each other. So let's see. Okay, perfect. What we want to do here is actually the split tool, and this is going to split this whole video into 2 separate clips. So as we can see here, we can take this part of it and move it over here. It's a completely different video. And if we play it, it's just going to be that title card, which is great. And now we just want to delete it. So I'm going to right click on this and remove it. You can also lift. So let's just say this was in between another clip. We didn't want that to move. I'll show you this a little bit later too. Then we just lift this up and it's as if it was taken right off without disrupting anything around it. We want to put our newscast title here in this box, and to do that we're going to have to add some text. As we can see, we're in our gain/volume. This is our little filters menu for this clip.mp4. And so that's what we're going to stay in. We're going to be adding on another filter to put that text there. But what I want to do is I want to choose where the text is going to go, what time it's going to go on. Because if I put text on this clip, it's going to be from the beginning. That's going to say who knew news at the beginning to the end, and that's not what we want. We want it to appear when this white box appears. So on this, we're going to split it, but this time we're not going to delete this part. Let's go here. And now we're dealing with just this clip. As you can see, since we split this, it kept the filters that were already on its, I guess, parent video. So if we go to this clip, it also has that gain and volume at muted, which is very nice. So as you can see, I'm clicked onto this clip, but my time bar is over here. Let's drag this over here so we see what we're working on. Now, to add text, we're going to do this plus button. It's going to be in this visual menu, and if we go down, it should just be text. Yep, it's right here. And that's in my favorites menu because you're going to be using text a lot. What we have here, it has a code preset in here for the time code, which if we play this, that's actually a pretty cool feature if you ever want to just leave it in there and use it. If you play it, it'll show you the time that's going on the video. So we don't want that though. Now we're going to erase. You're going to go here to the text, and that's where you're going to type in what you'll be seeing on the screen. For this, we want who knew news. Super nice, but we don't want it on the bottom there. That's so silly. And so we see it on this white text, or white box, sorry. We're going to go here, and this is your font color. If you click on the box, nice. Something that I really like is you can pick a screen color. So let's just say we want this red color. Let's pick screen color, and there it is. You can always use exact coordinates and exact size measurements here, but I just like to drag this down until you see this little square, and you can shrink that. Oh no. Okay, something tricky is you only have this workspace. So if this ever happens and you're not able to pull this bad boy up, you may have to make it bigger again, use this, drag it up by this little circly thing, and then kind of work around with it until it cooperates with you. Now, that looks it's fine. Right now, we have the text box around it. As long as you're in this clicked into this text filter, you're going to see this text box. I want to click out of that, and there you go. You can see it without it. Let's go back to our playlist. We're going to use this clip. This is our desk clip. Whenever you're recording, definitely give yourself a little bit of time before you start. Don't just start talking right away, because this gives you some buffer time depending on where you want to cut and begin, which is very nice. Also, definitely have that at the end. I'm going to drag this to a little bit before I start talking, so I can do a little head thing. Okay, excellent. And now that that's there, I'm going to drag this from here, not from here, because I've changed this right here. Lots of here's. I'm going to drag this down. Now, we're not going to use this entire video clip just watching me. A lot of times I messed up, but for now, we're going to start with this. As we can see, we have Who Knew News, the intro. It's going to go to black. And then this. So nice. Right now I want to be looking at this area, so I'm going to pull this up. I kind of like having the fade to black in there. I want a little bit more time. So if we play through this, it's going to go to black. That's a little bit too long. Maybe drag this over. As you can see, I can use this bar. If I set it here, it'll act as like a magnet. So whenever I drag things, it'll usually click to that, which is super nice. I'm going to go ahead and save. Let's go a little bit, slightly more. It's going to be playing it and watching it, and then editing and making little tweaks for most of it, but that's okay. Now, we have this as the video part of the desk shot. I want an audio track for what I'm going to be saying, all the voiceovers, any outside recordings I do. I'm going to use a lot of the audio from this desk shot to talk over the things here, the B-roll that I was talking about. So I'm going to add another audio track because I don't want to put it on top of this music if I'm going to want this music playing the whole time, which again, that's up to you. But if I'm going to add another audio track, I go here, I can add another audio track. So nice. So we've got this here. It starts. I'm going to mute this here just so I don't have to listen to it every time. You don't hear the music going on, but you can do that if you just want to focus on one clip. Just make sure to unmute it whenever you're ready to export. Okay, so we have this. You'll see the video, you hear, and you're going to want to find out when you want to stop that recording. As you can see, what she did here, she talks for a little bit. She has her introduction. It zooms in. You don't have to zoom in. If you have a person helping you film, though, that is a super awesome option that you can use. You can totally do that, but it might just make it a little bit more of a hassle, especially if you're just there talking to the camera. It's up to you. You can have fun with it. You can even have a little dude in the back right here working on a computer. Just make sure it's not super distracting, especially if you're talking about serious stuff. If you're going to have funny stuff like that, make sure it's whenever it's not a serious topic, because a lot of these things we're talking about are going to be pretty serious. So just be mindful of that. All right, so we're going to work on this lovely shot over here, the desk shot. Now, I'm going to listen to this. I'll unplug this, and we're going to determine where to stop this first clip of what I'm talking about and when I want to start adding these B-roll shots on top. So we're watching these and listening to me. So let's go. The great thing about this is you can cut out your awkward moments. Of course, you'll probably plan a little bit more than what I have done right here. But if you do slip up, that's why this is so forgiving, and I love it. We'll probably stop right after I say my name, introduce myself. Let's play through that and see where the best part is. I think I say, now it's time to see this broadcast or something. We'll probably stop right after that. But this is where I'm going to want to cut it. So make sure you're clicked onto it. As you can see, I wasn't clicked onto it. That could have been messy. I'm going to split that. You might have to undo it. And then, okay, now it's working. So I'm using this clip. This is what's happening right after the beginning part of the desk segment. And I'm moving it around. I'm holding the the mouse key down, and I can drag it to the different tracks. And it's holding on like a little magnet. So we're on this third track, the second audio track, and I'm going to put it against this white bar. As you can see, it kind of clicks on, and then I'm going to leave it. And it should work now. Let's listen, folks. And we will continue on with our broadcast now. You see, there's many views. Very nice. Okay, so now we can start adding in our B-roll if we want. We'll probably work around this part. Let's watch what we are. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect. Don't worry. It's not going to be up to your standards and up to the manners of almost perfection. It'll never be perfect, and that's okay. But it won't be until what you have, or it won't be what you have in your mind until the very end. So if you don't see it coming together at the beginning, do not fret. It's just a process. So let's watch so far. Okay, right. I had that clip, the music one, on mute. This is actually super loud, and this is a lot quieter. So we're gonna go here, turn that volume down. We're clicked onto the music. We're gonna go to filters, let's add gain volume, and make it a lot quieter. Let's see how quiet it has to be. That's perfect. Okay, make sure your voice is always above the music, or the music matches the voice if your music is separate. But if you're talking over music, make sure that your music is always quieter so that you can still hear it, but that you can hear what you're saying more importantly. Okay, and just go through and cut out the pieces of audio that I don't like, and then we're gonna add the visual parts on top of that. All right, so as you can see, I have a lot of filler words. For me, it's just me saying now. Thankfully for us, that gives us a good place to cut. Let's go a little bit before here and see where we can stop, where it sounds natural to stop. You can also take out your pauses, which is super nice. But as we can see here, we're clicked onto the audio clip. We're going to split it right there. And then we're going to play until the place that we want that part to end that we're going to be taking out. So let's see. Okay, so we see where I start redoing. If you're going to redo something, definitely give yourself a little bit of time before you start your redo so that you have that buffer time to work with. We can see here this spike is where I start, where I say the word weather, and this is where I'm starting again. That's why I love seeing these audio clips. We're going to stop right here in this dead zone. That's going to be probably a pause where I was talking, but always check that later. We're going to split. And now this is the clip that I want to remove. Make sure you're clicked on to that. Hold on. Yeah, so make sure you're clicked onto that, and we're going to take this out, and it should go from here to here and be perfectly fine. So I'm going to right click that. I'm going to show you what happens when you lift it. If you click lift, it'll just leave it there. Now I'm going to undo that, put that clip back in there. We're going to click onto it, and I'm going to remove it. And as you can see, if I remove, it shifts this over. Now this is super dangerous. If you don't want that to move, just be careful with that. I did want it to move, so it worked out for us. Now I'm going to unplug the headphones, and we're gonna see if it works.
As our interns here at Newscast, unrest deprived, whether it's in the air, on the air, on the water.
Okay, that worked out super well for us. What's nice about doing it all in one recording and doing all of your fixes, if you think of a better way to say something, in the same video, is that you have the same background noises and it sounds seamless. A lot of times if you're going to do a different recording, it does not sound the same. So if you're trying to patch up audio, especially in your voiceover, then I definitely advise trying to match the situations and what you filmed with, what you recorded with, so that it sounds the same. Because the thing with audio is that you want to make sure that nobody notices the editing. That's the whole goal of the editing, so that it seems seamless, which is why we match the volumes and everything. Because you only notice the editing whenever it's not good or if it's really good. So either being in that mid zone or on the really good zone. I mean, it's up to you, dudes. That's what you want to aim for. And so thankfully that worked out really well. As you can see, these are both little pause moments. You definitely want to keep some pause in there, because if I jumped from talking about the interns and then immediately weather, blah, 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 that's super quick. Make sure when you're recording that you enunciate, you talk slowly, because you will see it'll feel longer when you're recording than what you see on screen. As we can see here, we have some little pauses. I mean, I could take those out. I probably will. I'm just gonna, yeah, I'm gonna pause really quick, take those out, and then we'll get back to it, just so you don't have to watch me taking out little pauses. So be right back in like a second. It won't take long for you. And we're back. See, I told you that wouldn't take long. All right, so I took out the little pauses. I'll scroll back here. As you can see, these little splits here, since these technically are 3 different audio clips now, but they're just where I took out those super long pauses, and now I sound a lot wittier. So let's listen to it. And then at the end, I have a bunch of different tries at a sign off. So we'll find out which one is the best one. We'll go with that and we'll patch it together. But let's listen.
Look forward to helping you with this.
I like to think about the news segment as different segments within this whole newscast, and that's probably going to be helpful for you for knowing what videos you want there. If you're going to outline, especially with the written component of this assignment, definitely outline the different parts of what you're going to be talking about. That's going to give you more of an idea of what you want to say behind the desk, what you need to record, and what order you want that in, so you can outline, okay, these clips are going to be in this order because of that, and that's going to help you organize that a little bit better. So, as we can see, we have our ending audio clips. Now, we don't want these audio pieces about the equipment right after we close out, so we're going to need some space to work with. If you were to drag this audio over here, it's just going to overwrite what we have, and we don't want that. So click that back into place. We need to make some space. I'm going to click onto this top video playlist and see, now I can drag it up there a little bit more easily. I'm going to put that up there. Now it's a video clip, so you can see my smug face. We're going to do that with this one also. Drag it right before. And that's just because we're not dealing with it right now. Okay, so these are the 3 audio clips for the equipment segment. Hooray, hooray, hooray. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we can drag these over. We're going to drag this. And it should clip on there, or click on there. These are right after one another. Sometimes they're a little slow. If you need to lift them up and then paste them down there, sometimes that'll work better. We're going to take these down. This is our closing. If you want to see the closing as a video clip, you totally can. I think for now, we're just going to have them down here as audio. Okay, so I need a little bit more space to work here. Let's pull this down. We have the final part of the closing. Let's drag that down to the audio. Clip that on there, and bonsai, we did it. So right now our audio track is pretty much done, and our voiceover is set. As you can see, we have so much music left. This is probably where we're going to end our video intro, which is so cool. All right, so now, as I said, we're going to be working on this in segments, and we're going to actually, I want to make a B-roll video track. So as we can see here, we have 3 different tracks to our audio. 1 is video. I'm going to make another video track. Let's go up here. I'm going to save this as the video track with audio on, and I'm going to make a new, I'm going to rename it to B-roll just so we can do that. That's something also really nice if you need to, if you have a lot of tracks. Oh my gosh. B-roll. What? Okay, now it's working. Desk shot. Excellent. Here, let's rename it to music. And then voiceover. And that comes in handy. Okay, so we're going to our B-roll track. And this, I want all the videos here to be muted so that all we're hearing is the voiceover and the music. So I go here, and this is going to mute the entire track. Now, as you might have noticed here, I have these little lock track things. I'm going to do that on this desk shot one because I'm pretty much done with moving stuff around there. And if you lock it, you're not going to accidentally move clips, which is so nice. I'm probably going to move and lock this also. But also, I want to click on this place. Let's just say I wanted to start at the very beginning, which I'm probably going to want to, of this audio clip. I double clicked it, and that's how I got to the beginning. And if you see here, if I go up here to this B-roll track, as soon as I put a clip here, it'll start as soon as this starts because I double clicked on it. We'll double click on our playlist video with the interview clip. Let's go here. We'll drag. This is how long I want from that video, and I will drag this onto our first. Oof. As you can see, that's a really long video, and we don't need all of that for the interview part. It goes all the way there. let's see where I stopped talking about the interview part. So I'm going to pause really quick. I'm going to pick which part of this interview video I want. And then I'm going to narrow that down so that it is in the interview spot. So I'll be right back. All right, so I figured out what I liked best. And as you can see, this is a clip from that interview video clip. As we can see, I'm going to unplug the headphones and we'll listen to the audio and I will show you how it works. I'm guessing this is where I start talking about the interns, but let's just watch.
Broadcast now. What you would expect to see is interviews and more importantly our interns.
Okay, great. So we can look and see where it starts saying more importantly the interns. Maybe I want it to start whenever it says intern. Maybe that's whenever I want the next clip with the interns to start. So we'll play it again. Intern. So you see the beginning of the is the interns. I'm going to drag this out so that we can have that nice clean transition. Okay, so we're right here. I'm going to go to my clip of the intern working hard on the computer. Nice, nice. I want it to start whenever I'm already typing because then it'll look almost rehearsed if I'm pausing and then starting to type. So let's drag that in a little bit. Mid-motion. I'm going to drag that, start it there, move it over, and bada bing, bada boom. Let's play that again. Okay. So the best that we can find, let's drag this out, see if it looks good, because sometimes it works out like that. As you can see, this is where the weather starts. Weather. Let's drag this out all the way there so that, you know, you have enough time. So for this, I say, hold on, let me plug this back in. Say a bunch of different things, and I want to show a different clip for each one. So it says in the air, on the land, whatever. I'm gonna have a quick clip for each of those. I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna put those together because it's just gonna be exactly like this. I don't want to have you here for 5 hours, but when we'll get back, I'll show you what I did with that. So see you in a sec. And we're back. Hello and welcome. As you can see here, I added a bunch of little clips. That took a little while, but once you get to the swing of things, it's not so shabby. So let's have a look. As you can see, I corresponded with the different parts. Well, as you will see. And I just took I shrunk them down as we've been doing before. If I wanted to find, oh, this is where a segment begins. For example, I'm talking about on the air. Then I can start whenever I say on the air for the beginning of the word on. And I feel like right there, that's where it starts. So that's where I want my clips to start. As you can see, wherever I put the time bar, it's going to be the same for the top and all the tracks below and above, all that stuff. So let's give it a listen.
That we could find, whether it's in the air, on the air, on the water, on the land, or in your hands, we're here.
Perfect. Okay. I really like how that turned out. I like quick shots. It adds humor if you want humor. If you don't want humor, it can add drama. I know that can work with a lot of B-roll. As you can see here, that was all B-roll. We're talking over it. You can use clips you find from Rwanda at the time, clips you find from the UN at the time. I think that would be really cool. But more importantly, if you have clips from just the UN in our classroom, that's amazing. Plop those bad boys in there, and you've got yourself a nice little montage, which is what those quick succession of shots would be called. Now, for this next part, we're talking about history. And what I wanted to do with that is I talk about, like, you know, we help you with history and history in the future. I had I had one picture. I just looked it up on Google Images, and this is going to represent history. Oh, so nice. And then this right here is going to represent the future. So for this, it's going to be kind of comical, but you can use this. First, I'm going to drag these in here. As you can see, they drag in just like audio clips, just like video clips. Let's go back here to our B-roll folder and get the mirrored version. Let's go to our BBC, or sorry, ABC broadcast. Right after she has her desk shots, she goes to this nice map image, and what we can see here is just a picture of a map that they're zooming in on. I wanted to do something with that image and show you guys how you can incorporate that. We go right here. This is where we want to start. Let's find that. We're gonna get our history picture. Boats going backwards. It's history time. And as you can see, it plops in there just like any other video clip. You can cut this at any point, or you can drag it out as long as you want. It doesn't matter because it is an image. We go here and find out when it's gonna say "and the future." Gonna throw this one in. And now I'm gonna play this and figure out where to stop it.
Let's just say you wanted to zoom in. Let's go back here, put a time bar on top of it. And let's
say we want it to zoom in. We don't want these black borders. We want it to match up with the width of how the videos look. So we're gonna add a filter. We're clicked onto this picture clip. Let's go rotate and scale. This is if you have something that's rotated the wrong way. A lot of times if you film a video, it will be flipped sometimes. If you're using a phone, that happens a lot, and you want it to be horizontal. That's another tip I'm gonna emphasize separately outside of the video so that people know about it. But make sure when you're filming things, always try to film horizontally. I know a lot of times we go for vertical, especially if you're using a phone, but horizontal is going to look a lot more professional. And yes, but if you have vertical, of course, you know, you don't have to scrap those, especially since this is just for class. We have our rotation and our scale things. There's some presets here that you can save. This is actually not with the program. Those are things that I've saved for other videos. You can rotate here. Scale is what you're going to want. And I'm going to look at that 122.5 degrees. And let's just say I want those exact same proportions for this. I'm going to save this as a preset. I'm going to press plus next to this preset icon. I'm going to name it history. Okay, and now I'm going to click on this. We're going to go over here so we can see what we're doing on this future clip. Plus, let's go to, remind me what it's called, rotate and scale. We're going to go to our preset menu, and now we have history, and it's going to look similar, which is super cute. It'll look a lot more seamless, as I've been saying multiple times. For these other parts where you don't have something to match, let's listen to this. It talks about
as you do with history. As you do with history, blah, 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 blah. It's just me talking. You can pretty much just add anything in there. That's why these other parts of your videos, you can always use
multiple parts from the same video. As you can see, I used this part of me just clapping from the end of the interview video that I had put in earlier, but no one would have known that they were connected if I didn't, you know, tell them, because that doesn't matter. And it's also super resourceful if you reuse parts of videos that you've had from before. This is another thing that I did while I was paused earlier. As you can see, the music track is a lot shorter, and there's this gray slanted line on it. So if I unlock this and I go here, I cut it off where I wanted the music to stop. If you click on the music audio track, I split it, but you don't have to. Also, if you don't want this to be jumping back and forth, move your time bar over here, and it should keep you in place here. So I'm clicked here, I went to filters, and I added the fade out audio, which should be, if you go into your audio menu, it'll be in there somewhere. I have it saved because it's very useful. Let's go to, if you click this X, it'll close that menu. And I determined how long I wanted it to fade out for, and then the music's just going to fade out, and that sounds really cool. So if you need that for audio or anything, go ahead and do that. I went ahead and filled in the extra clips, especially since you've seen the intro, you've seen how this is going to end up before I've even seen it as I'm recording this. You know what's going to be plugged in there, and you can definitely look back on that. But I went ahead, filled in with each segment that we were talking about, the different things that were being discussed. We have here, I split the same clip of me taking apart a tripod and putting it up. This video right here is the same as this one, but it starts at a different one. or a different point. I cut out the middle of it because I talk about how you probably don't need this equipment. So I wanted to show myself putting the tripod in the trash and then giving a little shake of the head. And then we go here for my closing. I'm just playing the piano for a little bit fakely. It's on mute while you're still hearing the voiceover. And then we go here for a nice ending. You'll probably have more relevant things, especially with interviews and all that. But this is going to give you a picture of how to put those together. Each one of your videos are going to be completely different, which is the awesome part about it. What I have here is the intro. I changed the text to just be the WKN, which I think it looks a little bit cleaner even in this simple Arial font. And so I'm going to leave it like that. I kept it in the red. It turns out that it was outlined. If we look at the original, or actually this one still has the filter because it's a copy of that one at the beginning. There's a part that has an outline. It was on black, so that was what was making it look a little funky. So I fixed that. I made it bold, simple. The simpler and more standout-ish it is, the more professional it'll look. It'll look modern too, though, so if you're not going for that modern look, feel free to play around with it. I suggest that you look at newscasts from back in the 90s, look at what kind of fonts they use, and mimic that. But if we play this here, it's a nice ending. And if you look back at the intro video of this final product, then you'll see how I matched it up with this fade out of the sound, and we'll just play it. And it's a nice little blurb that you can keep that video. If you save this clip and the intro clip of whatever you end up using as your intro as a completely separate video file, then you can plug that into all of the video assignments that you're going to be using, and you don't even have to worry about formatting that again, which is so nice, and I really, really, really recommend. So as we can see here, I formatted it with that. I found where the red would blend in with the red so that whenever it zooms in, if that makes sense, it'll look a little bit more seamless, even though I don't have the text fading in or anything. So there it appears. You don't even notice that whenever you play through it at full speed. And bada bing, bada boom, you have the beginning of this clip. I'm going to want to have a caption here. This is me being interviewed, and I want to have the name of the person in the left-hand corner. Let's just say this is an actual interview clip. And let's say I just want it to be, let's see what feels right. How long do I want this text to be up? Okay, so I want it to be up for maybe like a little over half. This, whatever feels right for you. If we look back at that Bosnia clip, there's an interview there that I recommend you look at. Oop, where is it? With this guy. And his name, it's right there. Somebody suggested that you can make your own logos and insert that into the video as an image. I'm going to send a picture that explains how to insert an image on top of a video in Shotcut, but definitely if you have any ideas like that and don't know how to go about it, either ask me or look up a tutorial online, because they have so many tutorials about all these different things for whatever program that you're looking at. And I definitely want you guys to be creative. Make these your own. Don't just copy what I'm making. And definitely don't copy what other people are making. Use this as a basis to make whatever you have in your mind, and it'll be so cool of having that originality. With that image thing, you can also have, as you can see here, it's the ABC logo on the bottom corner. You can add a filter to the entire track. So let's just say I wanted to add that little logo for all of this B-roll footage. Then I could just click on this. It'll turn blue. If you go to filters, see right here, it's the track for B-roll, and you can add any of these filters and it'll affect the entire line of videos. So all these will have the same exact filter that I add on. We're just going to add the text. Going here, going to my favorites, going to text. We have the timestamp as our default. Let's just say, and that's my name, obviously. So we're going to, oh, so it looks like I undid the selection. I didn't end up splitting it. So that's how long I want the text to be on screen for. I'm clicked on this. Let's split it. We'll go to this one. As we can see, the text is already on this video because it's from the original one where we put the text on. Let's just unclick that. And then we'll click onto this so we don't have to see the text box anymore. And if we watch it, that'll happen. I think for that, I might want to put it, because you read left to right, it's usually better if you have it either centered or left justified. So I might want to put it there. If you look at this, you can have a background for it too, which might be real nice. So we can either have this center. I think I'll just put it back here. Whatever feels right. I know that sounds super vague, but you'll get the hang of it if we watch here. Yeah. So I'll probably play around with that a little bit more to see how I prefer it, but that's just how you can have a quick and easy way to put that in if you don't want to input an image. Something this is super important. I'm going to remind the people from this semester outside of the video because I forgot to tell both workshops about this, but exporting your video. This isn't my final product. I'm probably going to go back and touch it up for a while just because, you know, perfectionism and all that. And it won't, like I said, it's not going to ever be perfect, but get it to where you like it. Always export it and watch it and then take notes on what you want to change because sometimes when you're in Shotcut or in a program, it'll start like stuttering is like how I like to say it. It'll, you know, pause because it's processing all this stuff that you're doing to it. So to see how it looks in a clean video and just playing it from start to finish to see if you have any pauses or like gaps in between videos that you didn't intend for, if the music or the voice didn't sync up quite how you wanted, that's where you tell if it's working. But to export, we're going to go here, click export. You're going to always keep it from the timeline. Yeah, that's just what you've been working with. You can pick the form, either MP4 or .mov. I'm going to go with .mov. The settings that are already in there should be correct, so you don't have to mess with those. Leave those the way they are. If anything's messed up with that, if you're in this semester, definitely contact me. If not, if you're not in this semester, you can probably check online if it's not processing the right way, but it should be good the way it is. And if not, you can follow what I have here. I forget if I've changed it at all. But you go here and export file, and this is super duper important. See, you're not going to have the save as type here, even though you already chose .mov or .mp4 or whatever. Just make sure you remember which file you chose, and you have to type in after whatever your name is right here. You have to type in .mov or mp4 or whatever, or else it's gonna not be able to open. It's not gonna save as that file. I don't know why it does this. I don't know if other programs don't do this. But with Shotcut, I've learned that you have to do that. So I'm going to save. As you can see here, it'll probably pull up this jobs tab. If not, you can find another way to open it by right-clicking it and pulling it open. And you can also move these. If I wanted this over here, I could do that. Hopefully I can get that back in there. Yeah. So you can customize your workstation for whatever you want. You can move this around. And you can see here, this is the file being saved. Give it some time to upload. So don't do this right before you have to turn it in or anything because it's going to take a hot second, especially the longer it is and the more stuff that you put in there. Once it's done, though, you'll be able to open it either from here or from wherever you saved it. That's where you check it. I definitely recommend going back for a second draft. I mean, if you see things that bug you, they're going to bug you in the long run. But also know that you're going to see more things wrong with it than the viewers are because they're not the ones who edited it. They're not the ones who are going to see all this stuff that we just went through for, you know, a super long time. They're not going to see that. They're just going to see the ending. So that's your job, to know that you're your own worst critic, but also they're going to see it for what it is for the final product. Imagine how you saw this as a final product at the beginning and now looking at how I made it. Those are the different reactions. That's the different perspectives. But thank you for everything. I'm going to let this process. I'll probably go back and clean this up, and I will see you guys soon. Unless I don't know you, then thank you for stopping by. Thanks for giving this a watch, and good luck. You guys are going to do amazing. Have fun with this. And yeah, thank you so much. That's history. All right. Bye-bye.